Good evening, everyone. We've got some exciting things to talk about with DSM's Education and Community Partnerships Department that is led by Devon Miller. Devon's an incredible theater professional, and we're really blessed to have him with us at DSM. He spent his career working on programming arts and fundraising for arts and social service organizations, and this guy has a commitment for community impact unlike I've ever seen. It's a core value of DSM, and Devon lives it every day and brings it to his work. So I want to introduce everyone to Devon Miller, who will walk us through a conversation about his department in education and community partnerships. Take it away, Devon.
Thanks, Ken. I really appreciate that introduction. So hopefully you can all see my screen there and can hear me. So happy to be here and be a part of the DSM family. I want to give a special shout out to a few sponsors of ours. Without support, these programs that we're going to talk about wouldn't be possible. Specifically the TI Foundation for all of their incredible support over the years, the Hirsch Family Foundation, and the Victim Bomb Charitable Trust. Thank you so much for their support of our programs and our organization. We truly couldn't do this without them. So I'm going to jump on in here to the presentation we have for you. And before we get into the meat of what we actually do in the Education and Community Partnerships Department, I want to give you a little bit of background of where we come from as a department. So historically, this department has been known for two main programs. The first being the former DSM Academy, which was a intensive training program for high school students that led to production with those students in the High School Musical Theater Awards that we've all come to know and love. And then over the years, a few other programs were added here and there, such as Seats for Kids, Seats for Vets, and of course DSM's Kids Club, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with and remember those programs as well. So when I was brought on, our main goal was to do an inventory of all of those great current programs and then develop a programming structure that provided some strategic guidance and vision to the department, but that also aligned all of those programs with DSM's strategic plan that we had in place at the time. So no small feat there, but that's what I walked into, and I was super excited to be brought on board to help do for DSM. But before we could do all that, really, when I was brought on, I said, great, totally doable, definitely gonna do some great things here at DSM. But first, I want to kind of understand more of the national and local landscape. I am a Dallas native, and I've worked in arts administration for most of my career. But that doesn't necessarily mean I know everything that has to do with arts administration and specifically programming for our communities. So the first couple weeks of my job, I actually spent really doing a listening tour, both locally and across the country. So the list of, this slide represents just a sample of the organizations that I spoke to during my first few weeks, just to get a sense of what other organizations were doing really well, and then how DSM might be able to replicate that success in our own current and future programming. And it was important for me at that time that I reach out to both arts-based organizations and non-arts-based organizations. And I found that when I talked to arts-based organizations, I got great insight really on, program structure and program management and best practices for those and best successes across the country at different organizations, at those different arts organizations. But when I talked to the non-arts organizations, I got some really, really great insight into what our communities that we hope to serve actually looked, felt, sounded, and acted like. I knew from those social service organizations specifically that they were kind of in the heart of the community every single day. And by talking to them, I would gain a better and stronger sense of what those communities were in need of when it came to arts programming. So my first few weeks really were lots of trips to New York, trip to Austin, a lot of phone calls and conference calls with our partners across the nation and locally and statewide, and gave us a really great kind of foundation to build upon for the department. So with all this information and with an incredible team by my side, and I just want to pause for a second to do a quick shout out to Allison Bray, who is actually on the Zoom call today. She is our program manager in the department and is one of the most incredible people I've ever gotten the privilege to work with. And I give her so much credit for all of our success that we're going to talk to today. So Allison, thank you for being here today and for all the work you do on behalf of DSM. It's so appreciated. So with the team at my back and with all the information I had gathered, we were able to develop a new basically structure of the entire department that aligned with our organization's strategic plan. So the first thing that we did was create a mission for the department. So it's important for us to state exactly what we thought our purpose was, and then create the mission that could guide current and future programming. So the mission, as it is stated right now, of our department is to serve the community by providing arts-driven, equitable programs that are influenced by the spirit of Broadway. And I want to take a moment just to highlight one phrase of that mission, and that is the spirit of Broadway. When I came on, DSM has always been known for bringing the best of Broadway to Dallas, and we will continue to do that. But what I was really interested in is what is that spirit that makes Broadway so lovable, and how can we use that spirit to spread it across our communities? So when our team was developing our mission, we purposely put in programs that were influenced by the spirit of Broadway rather than just Broadway, so we could really broaden the programs that we were able to offer to our communities. By adding the spirit of Broadway, we were able to touch the visual arts, the literary arts, so many more in different art forms. Also, what does Broadway look from a backstage perspective, from a producing perspective? What does all of that look like for our students and for our audiences that we can reach upon? So I really just love that phrase so much, being in our department mission and how it's guided us throughout the year so far. We also developed a vision for our department. So DSM has always been an aspirational organization, and that does not stop with us as a department. So our department's vision is pretty simple. It's just to be recognized as a leader in arts-driven, equitable programs. And when we were developing this vision, there was a lot of conversation back and forth between the team and between our leadership of, do we want to clarify or define who is recognizing us? And we came to the conclusion that no, we don't. If we're recognized on a national level, that's great. If we're recognized on a local level, that's great. If we're recognized on an international level, that's even better. But just to be recognized as a leader in this work is what our aspirational vision is for our department. And then last but not least, we developed 4 key priorities that really drive and are at the heart of every program that we do here at DSM in the Education and Community Partnerships Department. The first priority being accessibility. So we want to make sure that all of our programs are fully accessible to whoever and whomever wants to participate in them. So when most people hear education, they think K through 12. Well, education for us does not stop at 12th grade. Education goes all the way to, being 200 years old, really. We serve a wide array of individuals of all different ages through our programming to make it as accessible as possible for those who want to participate in those programs. We also want to make sure that we're always partner-centered. DSM never wants to reinvent the wheel, and we know that there are partners out there who have been doing this work for a long time, and our work is only made better by partnering with those organizations. So a large majority, probably 90% or more of the programs that we do here at DSM in this department are actually a partnership with other organizations, whether it be local, state, or national organizations that are focused on arts education and arts engagement. We also want to be change makers. We want to ensure that whenever someone does a program with us, they leave with a positive change within them. That's a goal of every program that we do. And last but not least, we want to remain vital, not only vital to the communities in which we serve, but also vital to the organization itself. We basically, when I came on, created a department from scratch, which is an exciting thing to do, but also really kind of put your feet to the fire, proving that your department and the work that you're doing is a critical component to the organization's business structure. So we always want to remain vital to both our communities and to the organization as we move forward. And then additionally, we developed 4 core program identities in which we could use to categorize all of the different programs that we do. So instead of having a bunch of kind of smaller subset of programs, yeah, we have all those programs. What do they feed into the larger picture of the organization? So we created these 4 different program categories. The first one being Community Spotlight, which encompasses all of our community engagement programs outside of the classroom. The main one being DSM Cares, which is our employee volunteer initiative, which I'll talk a little bit about later on, but also includes partnerships with individuals like, or organizations like the Dallas Public Libraries, the South Dallas Cultural Center. All of those really partner-centered, community-centered programs will fall under Community Spotlight. The next core program identity that we created is called 212 Degrees Connect. So for all of you science nerds out there, 212 degrees is of course the temperature in which water turns into steam. And here at DSM, we really believe in bringing the A back into STEM, and that when you focus your work in a STEAM-based curriculum, your learning objectives and learning outcomes for students increase dramatically. So we really wanted to focus on how we start re-including the arts back into STEM classrooms and STEM curriculums. 212 also happens to be the area code of New York, where Broadway is based. So it all connects back to that spirit of Broadway and really the education focus. So all of our K through 12 education programs fall under this 212 Degrees Connect program identity. The next identity we created is called ConnectTix, which is our ticket access program. And when most people hear of ticket access, they think, oh, okay, you give away free or reduced price tickets, which yes, we do as part of this program. But what I love about our version of ticket access is we take it one step further. All the groups that are partnering with us as part of ConnectTix also are offered engagement activities as part of that ticket package. So along with getting free access to the show, they're also getting access to maybe a pre-show workshop or a post-show talk back with the cast to make the entire experience much more fulfilling and much more engaging. We never want those that we interact with to kind of come and leave without a full experience. We want them to be fully engaged when they're with us in the music hall and engaging with the spirit of Broadway. So ConnectTix is a special and unique program for us in that way, in which we combine free tickets with free engagement opportunities as well. And then last but not least, also our High School Musical Theater Awards, which they're going into their 10th year this year. A lot of changes have happened to that program over its 10-year history. Most of those changes have happened over the past 2 year actually, since I've been here, both with me being new to that program coming in, and also with COVID having had us adapt to what that environment looks like. But I'm really happy to say that program is one of our most successful programs, reaching over 70 schools. It's a multi-state program all across the state of Texas plus Arkansas, and affects more than 5,000 students every single year. So really, really proud of that program in itself. So the next step, once we had all this kind of department structure in place and these program identities in place, was then to say, who do we want to target with these programs, which leads to one of the most important topics and focus of the work that we do, which is EDIA, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Access. So I want to start first with a quote that you see on the right side of your screen, which is from Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from the Birmingham jail, in which he says, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And I actually have this quote written in my office and also here in my apartment as well, as a reminder that when it comes to access to the arts, it's not equitable, it's not equal, it's not fully accessible, and that itself is an injustice. And when we see that injustice even in one classroom or one school, that injustice has ramifications across our city and across our sector. So I want to make sure that through the programs that we create and execute, that we are being fully equitable in those programs and who we're providing them to, making them fully accessible, fully inclusive, and also ensuring that we're serving the most diverse group of students and adults that we can through the programming that we can. And DSM has come a long way in our commitment to EDIA, which I'm very proud of the organization for. And I want to point out just 3 public-facing examples of that work in action, in which there was some cross-departmental collaboration that happened, in which most of you have also actually already probably seen. The first one is our stance on Black Lives Matter, in which DSM has blatantly and clearly stated that DSM believes that Black lives do matter. So I'm sure most of you saw this statement that was put out on our social media pages after the tragic murder of George Floyd. And this was kind of the first kind of big launching and stepping stone for us as an organization into the social and racial justice space, as it relates and intersects with the spirit of Broadway and our work with furthering EDIA. And this message itself went far more than just stating that Black Lives Matter. It resonated with those of us who are Black employees of the organization, our students and individuals we serve who are also Black, and our South Dallas community, which is predominantly Black as well. And it was one of the most proud moments I've had working at DSM to see this work come to fruition. We also participated in Blackout Tuesday in support of Black Lives Matter, which I was also very proud of as part of our EDIA work. And then last but not least, you probably also saw that we changed our logo during the month of June, which is Pride Month. And not only did we change that logo in support of Pride, we added the Black Lives Matter fist as a stance of solidarity with our Black brothers and sisters across the city, the state, and the nation. So these are just three very public-facing examples of our EDIA work in action. There are several other examples I could provide that are internal to our organization that guide the work that we do every day. But this idea of equity, diversity, inclusion, and access really is reflected in every single program that our department strives to do every single day. So I'm very, very proud of that. So with all that in mind, we developed now what we call our DSM service area, which is the 5 zip codes you see on your screen now. These zip codes encompass what is known now as South Dallas Fair Park, and then also further south of that area as well. These 5 zip codes historically have been underserved both from a social service perspective. So when we talk about food insecurity, access to water, clean water, technology, even transportation infrastructure, et cetera, but have also been historically underserved when it comes to arts access, both from a youth perspective and an adult perspective, even in terms of DSM's own programming. So DSM has been kind of in the heart of this community for more than 80 years now, but we haven't always been the best neighbor to those around us. So when I was brought into this position, I really wanted to focus on recreating those relationships, recreating that trust in the heart of the community in which we live and work in every single day. So a majority of our resources as a department goes to providing programs specifically for these 5 zip codes, which I'm so very happy and proud of. This idea of access to arts programming, especially for these 5 zip codes, is something we strive to do on a daily basis. So with that in mind, I want to talk about why access matters so much. And I want to start with a quote from the National Endowment for the Arts, which they said, "For many of us, we take it for granted that we can visit a museum on the weekends, purchase tickets to a performance, or register ourselves or our children for an art class. But for many communities in the United States, options for participating in the arts are limited at best, whether because of scarce economic resources, geographic isolation, or in the case of people living in institutions or in homeless shelters, general marginalization from society." I think this quote ties very nicely into some demographic comparisons I want to share with you of those who live in our 5 zip code service area versus those who are our primary season subscribers. So the data that you see in front of you is a comparison of demographics from our 5 zip code service area as compared to the top 5 zip codes in which our season subscribers live. And there's a few things I want to point out here as far as disparity. One, that first one you see highlighted there, the rate of individuals achieving a high school diploma or higher is 61% in our service area, but 95% in our top 5 season subscriber zip codes. The national average and national goal is 90%. So our service area sits well below that. So the question for us as an organization is, how do we use the arts to influence greater graduation rates in our service area moving forward to make a true difference? You'll also see the disparity between the median household income, in which in our service area is about $34,000 a year versus our subscriber area, which is about $93,500 a year. And I want to kind of break this down a little bit further. So the average daily take-home pay in our service area is about $94 per day. In our subscriber area, it's about $256 per day. The average DSM ticket price in 2018, excluding tickets that were sold for Hamilton, was about $65. So when you take those numbers and look at just the daily take-home pay, if you're living in our service area, you can afford to purchase one ticket to a DSM show based on your daily take-home pay. Versus if you're a subscriber living in those 5 zip codes of our top subscriber list, you can afford 4 tickets or tickets for your entire family. That is inherently inaccessible to those in our service area, and we strive every day as an organization now to correct that. Now, to our benefit, our lowest ticket price is $25 when it comes to our rush programs and other things like that. But this is why things like ticket access are so important to be able to close that disparity gap that's there. Also, you'll see that 32% of residents in our service area live below the poverty line, whereas in our subscriber area, it's only 6%. The national average is 11%. So you can see that in our service area, it's much, much higher. And then also in the data, the primary residents of our service area are Black and brown individuals as compared to our subscriber area. So when we program in our department for our community, it truly is for Black and brown children to be able to have access to this work, to learn from this work, and to feel like they're included in this work. And we are so proud of that because we know that when students have access to the arts, they attend school more regularly. They're twice as likely not to drop out of high school. They have higher pass rates on standardized tests, and it leads to the increased likelihood of them actually enrolling in college. So when you take those 4 things combined, their potential, their earning potential in the future as adults increases so much more, which then provides easier access for them to the arts and to be able to see themselves in the seats or in the shoes of our subscribers, which is what we strive for. But beyond all of that, art also provides hope. And to demonstrate what that hope looks like, I want to show you a brief clip from our Black Art Matter series, which I'll talk a little bit more about a little later. But I believe this is a prime example of why access to the arts is so important, especially when it comes to Black and brown children.
You can do what you do and do it well. You can be a lyric soprano. You can be, this beautiful ballerina. You can, now we have so many incredible, performers. We've got Missy Copeland. Like for me, dance is my first love. So I can only imagine how much more I would have seen myself in that industry had I really dove into it head first, being I can see me up there.
Yeah.
And now
So that idea of being able to see yourself on the stage or see yourself in a career path and know that there's others before you have done it is a very strong element of hope that the arts can bring. And that's the type of programming we strive to do every single day, to tell the kids that we work with, the arts are for you. There is a home for you at the music hall, within DSM, and with the art sector as a whole. And we continue to do that every single day through our programming and get better at it every single day as well. So I want to shift now from the what, why, and how of what we do and share with you the impact and the reach that we've had so far as a department in the year that we've been established here. So between November 2019, which was the start of our fiscal year, through March 2020, when COVID shut us down during the run of Comfortable Way, we had served 16,500 individuals through 75 different program sessions in over 100 different zip codes and partnering with 100 different partner organizations. For a department as small as we are, with a limited budget that we had, and being as new as we were, we didn't have the greatest of expectations for what we could achieve. But DSM really did step up to the plate as an organization and say, this is critical for us as an organization moving forward in our future. And this is critical for our communities as well. And because of that commitment by the organization, I'm so proud of those numbers as you see there. But I want to take it one step further and now talk about our impact post-COVID. So from November 2019, again, the start of our fiscal year, to the present, we've now served over 30,000 individuals in combination with our virtual programming that we put out, which I'll talk about shortly. That's through over 125 different program sessions, still in over 100 different zip codes, and with over 125 different partner organizations. So those priorities that I talked about earlier, being accessible, change makers, partner-centered, and vital, those priorities really do come through, I think, in these numbers. And our original goal as a department when we started at the beginning of the fiscal year was to serve 30,000 individuals total for the fiscal year. And we still have 2 or 3 months left. So I'm so proud of the work that we've been able to do and the fact that we're going to surpass that goal even through a pandemic in which we're going through right now. So that's a huge thanks to the team I have and to the organization itself and the commitment it's made to this work that we've been able to do that. So speaking of COVID, on top of everyone's mind as we sit here on the Zoom call, I want to share briefly what our response was as a department during the pandemic and how we adjusted our programming model during these times. So at the start of the pandemic, we made a very rapid shift to virtual programming, the first being with our High School Musical Theater Awards. So when our organization was shut down on March 13th during our run from Come From Away, we were actively in the planning stages for an in-person ceremony for 3,400 students, teachers, and community members in the music hall that was going to happen in 2 months that May. So it was a pretty rapid shift going from planning an in-person event to then going and shifting to a completely virtual event in the time frame that we had. And thanks to an incredible production team and support from an incredible leadership team here at DSM, we were able to do what I think was a pretty well-polished show after all, celebrating the work of all of our students throughout the year with virtual performances, virtual acceptance speeches, and even a virtual host from the music hall. And to this day, that video, that award show, which is available online on our YouTube page, already still has 6,200 views, which is almost double the capacity of the music hall itself. So going virtual actually allowed us to be even more accessible with that program than we had thought before. We also launched a series of virtual masterclasses for our students. And what was special about these masterclasses was that we actually reached out to our teachers when kind of the effects of COVID were really hitting them and said, what program can we provide to you that fits within your lesson plan and will actually enhance what your students are learning in your virtual classroom. And through that data that we got, that's what we used to inform the type of virtual masterclasses we provided. So we did a virtual masterclass on directing, on vocal technique, on stage management with a stage manager from one of the Hamilton tours, where students actually got to view and hear a professional Broadway stage manager call the show Hamilton with all the light cues and set cues. It's a truly magical moment. And we're able to reach so many students through those virtual masterclasses, and we're very proud of those, all through Zoom. And then we also launched a series of a number of video series. The first being What Do You Do with a BA in Theater, which is also accessible on our YouTube page. And this series talks all about, when you go off and you get a BA in theater, once you get that degree, if you choose not to be a performer or be in the performing arts sector, how are those skills transferable? So we have a lot of interviews with individuals who have their BA in theater, who will work in the arts or don't work in the arts, and talk to our students about how they can transfer those skills onto other careers, because we know that what you learn in the arts are fully transferable to any other career path you may want. We also launched a series called DSM Smiles with the sole purpose of making people smile during this time, at a time where people needed just a simple break from reality for a second to say, hey, we're still here, life is still going on. Let's take a moment to smile and remember the joy in our lives. So DSM Smiles is all about bringing that joy back to us and reminding us of that joy and bringing a smile back to our faces. And last but not least, a series called Black Art Matters, which I am so incredibly proud of, which was also the brainchild of the incredible Allison Bray as well, in which we talk to local Black creatives here in Dallas. So first we showcase a performative piece of theirs, a song, a dance, a poem, whatever they want to get their work more exposure. And then we have a sit-down conversation about what Black identity means to them and how Black identity has affected their creative lives, both here and maybe even on a national scale too. So all of those video series continue to be on our YouTube page. All of these series, actually, including our HSMTA virtual awards and our master classes, are all on our YouTube page. You can check them out for free, fully accessible by searching @DS Musicals. on YouTube, and you'll get access to all of those, like I said, free of charge. So I'm going to share a brief clip with you to promote Black Art Matters that will actually premiere. This episode will premiere tomorrow, so it'll be a little sneak peek for you all. And it's going to feature a DISD instructor by the name of Iris Wyatt, who is an English instructional coach, but also the director of the dance program at Lincoln High School, and have her share with you just a bit about the success she's seen with her students through her work at Lincoln High School.
What you're teaching is having a real impact on your students and what the impact is. And you've been doing it for 20 years, but if you can just talk a little bit more about that, because it's such an important topic.
Well, I would have to say that I was hidden for 20 years. Rachel's the one that's brought it out. No one ever knew that 98% of my kids graduated from high school and went on to college. They didn't see that a majority of them are now successful African-American women who are major producers in the community, you know, account.
So the interview I had with Iris that will premiere tomorrow on our YouTube page was probably one of the most powerful interviews I've done as part of this series so far, in which I was almost literally brought to tears by the work that she's done with her students and the perseverance she has shown over her 20-year career, and how she passes that perseverance and dedication to her students, and is an inspiration for us as a department to do the same with those that we work with, be it student or adult. So I hope you will all check that out tomorrow when we premiere it. It'll be on our Facebook and our YouTube page, so please go and check that out. So in addition to what I've already previously described, we've also doubled down our efforts as part of DSM Cares, which I briefly mentioned earlier, but DSM Cares is our employee volunteer initiative that we launched last August with the goal of really immersing our employees at Dallas Summer Musicals within the communities that we actually work in. I truly believe that you can't program for a community unless you get to know that community personally. So DSM Cares is all about putting our employees directly in the middle of our community of South Dallas and Fair Park, and getting to know those who live there, work there, and have spent their lives there, so that we can better serve them as an organization overall and give them an equitable voice in the work that we do every single day. So through DSM Cares, we have launched and sustained an incredible partnership with City Square and their Opportunity Center, which is located just about 5 minutes from the music hall. And City Square's mission is to fight the causes and effects of poverty through service, advocacy, and friendship. And for a year now, DSM and our employees and even some of our teaching artists have gone to their Opportunity Center and worked in their food pantry, giving groceries to our food insecure neighbors in South Dallas. So pre-COVID, they have a setup where neighbors actually get to shop inside in a kind of grocery store model. Post-COVID, they also had to adapt and now have a drive-through model. So you can see there on the top right of your screen, our employees taking carts of groceries out to cars. The bottom right there of us standing in the rain, still doing the great work that we do, and really adjusting to what COVID is and has had an effect on it, on our neighbors. Because we know that COVID has had a disproportionate effect on specifically Black and Brown communities, which is what our service area is. And DSM Cares is all about helping our social service agencies address that issue in the most effective way, because we know you can't really enjoy the arts unless you have a full stomach and a place to sleep. And that's where we step in as DSM Cares to say we want to help achieve those goals with our social service partners, so that everyone can have an enjoyable experience at the music hall when they come to see us. So pre-COVID, we were volunteering once a month. Now that COVID has really hit us and we're in the middle of it, we've actually doubled down on our efforts, and we're there now every single week. I was actually there this morning as well, so I was there twice this week helping out. And I can't say enough the great work that they do and how amazing their partnership has been for us. And our impact with them so far through the year that we've been with them, we've sent 32 volunteers, which amounts to about 600 volunteer hours, and helped to feed more than 5,500 families in the South Dallas area. And through that impact, we were extremely honored to receive one of City Square's highest awards, which is their President's Award for Outstanding Volunteer Service. So this was an award that was completely unexpected for us, but when we received it, it really was, I think, a testament to our commitment of providing resources and support and help to those who need them most. And so DSM Cares is something that's near and dear to my heart and to the organization's work, and that I look forward to continuing many, many years in the future. So now that I've laid out a bit of what we've done so far, I'll provide you with just a quick outlook at what the future holds for us as a department. So this is our 5-year trajectory with the adjustment for COVID. So those first 3 arrows you see there are the current fiscal year that we're in, which span from November of last year through October of this year, in which we went through an observe and learn phase, which I talked about when I first started, and then an establishment phase of like getting the programs established and executed and going. And now we're in kind of this adjustment phase because of COVID of, what do our programs look like in a COVID world, but then also planning for what do our programs look like reemerging out of a COVID world. So next fiscal year is very much that work of kind of reestablishing ourselves, whether it be in a virtual space, an in-person space, a hybrid space. We're going to spend a greater part of next fiscal year kind of figuring that out and reestablishing ourselves as a vital department for this community and for our organization, with the hopes of sustaining that work and those efforts in the following fiscal year, and then growing the department and our programs even more by 2023, and then really getting to a thriving phase where we continue to grow and have even more impact on the individuals that we serve in fiscal year 2024 and beyond. So that's kind of what the next 5 years look like for us, hopefully, and then fingers crossed that there's not an additional pandemic that comes on that where we have to do another adjustment phase there as well. In addition, I am really so thrilled to also announce a brand new partnership with the Dallas Independent School District. So this is the first time in DSM's history that we will have a formal partnership agreement with the district that allows us to have a very large reach when it comes to arts programming in the district. So our original goal when this agreement was agreed to and signed back in March was to provide in-school programming to Dallas ISD students within our service area. But however, because of COVID, we had to transform that partnership to focus on completely virtual programming that would now benefit every student in the district. So there's 2 main components of what this partnership is, and I'm really excited to, once this is all signed, sealed, delivered, which will hopefully be soon. The first one will be a brand new professional development series called Connect EDU that will give theater and dance teachers professional development opportunities focused on cultural intelligence and provide them with access to some of the nation's leaders in the performing arts sector. And the goal is that once this is provided for Dallas ISD dance and theater teachers, that we then also provide it for other school districts and their teachers, again, free of charge to the district, to those teachers for the benefit of their students. Additionally, with the help of our incredible marketing team, we are planning what we're calling DISD Broadway Day, which will stream a production of a professional musical to every classroom in the district, as well as provide virtual engagement activities for those students tied to the production. So in total, with this new iteration of a virtual partnership, so to speak, we're set to reach every single student in the district, which is roughly 155,000 students over the next year in Dallas ISD alone, and 100+ teachers across the district. So this is going to be a game changer for how DSM interacts with our communities, with how DSM interacts with one of the largest school districts in not only the state, but the nation, and then the effects that has on the work that we do outside of the district as well. So we're extremely excited about this new partnership. More information will be available on it once it's formally signed, sealed, and delivered here in the next few weeks. But just want to give you a quick overview of what that looks like. And then with that, we will take, we'll turn to a Q&A session here. And I'll invite my friend Ephraim from our development team to see what questions we have.
All right, Devon, I just have to say you and Allison are doing some incredible work in this community, and it's greatly appreciated. Let's give them a round of applause, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
So first question is, do you and Allison ever sleep from all of the wonderful work that you all are doing?
So, you know, what is the saying? You can sleep when you're dead.
That's right.
Of course we sleep, but really the heart of the work that we do really stems from community. So as long as the community needs us and needs DSM and needs access to the arts, you can guarantee Allison and I will be right there on the front line saying, we're here for you. What do you need? Even at the expense of our sleep schedules.
And so I know you mentioned some very great virtual offerings that you've got, like the master classes and Black Arts Matters. Are there any in-house resources that you guys use? What kind of production kind of goes in? Can you describe a typical day in a Black Art Matters session?
Yeah, so we use various tools at our disposal. So with the kind of small budget that we have left for the rest of the fiscal year, Black Art Matters is professionally filmed with a great friend of mine who does some great film work. But with the other virtual master classes that I talked about, that's purely kind of us and our team navigating Zoom and getting, 50 plus students in a Zoom room with our teaching artists and controlling what that looks like. And luckily it works. So it's some creative engineering on our part, and then also bringing in professionals when we can.
And in this COVID world of virtual learning, what's been one or maybe an experience or several experiences that you've had that have just been interesting or maybe noteworthy, or just something that really has made an impact in your life?
Yeah, so that's a hard question. So I'll answer that in two ways. So first, I want to answer that when it comes to kind of the community engagement we do with City Square and engaging with those neighbors. So on a personal level, I grew up in poverty, have seen the effects of poverty, and have also seen the effects of what access to the arts can do for a child because I'm a product of that. So every day that I'm at City Square and I see a young Black child going through that experience, every day that reminds me why I do what I do and why I need to keep doing what I'm doing. And so that touches me every single week and stays with me always. The second part of that I'll add to that is when we did our virtual High School Musical Theater Awards and Geyer High School was announced as the winner, I have a very close relationship with Haley George, who also won Best Actress. Her father, Eric, and her mother, Dawn. We text frequently, just very sweet family. And Haley's one of the kindest souls I've ever met for her age, especially. So I actually Zoomed or FaceTimed them when they won and got to speak with not only Haley, but Haley's parents and some of the other students from Geyer. And to see the celebration and to see the happiness and the joy brought to them, not because they won, but because the work was being celebrated like never before, again, was just a reminder that we're on the right track, we're doing the right thing, and just to keep chugging along the best we can.
That's really great. And I know that we've talked more about the students and also the educators themselves. And I know you mentioned cultural intelligence with those educators. Can you share what that means and how teachers may not currently hold that knowledge?
Yeah. So cultural intelligence was actually a new term for me as well when I heard it from my contact at Dallas ISD. But cultural intelligence really refers to this idea of how do you best interact with those of different backgrounds, be it ethnic, racial, socioeconomic, geographic, et cetera, et cetera. How do you best interact with people from different cultures than your own? And how do you best empathize and work alongside them in the work that you create? So Dallas ISD teachers are actually some of the most innovative teachers I have ever met in my life. So this professional development series really is just focused on honing those skills in to the students that they have in their classrooms and ensuring that they continue to be the best educators in the state, which I believe they are, even though I grew up in Garland ISD, a little further north. So that's kind of what that series is geared toward and what cultural intelligence means. And we do that. We're doing the same thing with our teaching artists as well. We strive to ensure that they have a level of cultural intelligence in the work that they do, because we are very committed to the teaching artists we employ and use being from or working in the South Dallas Fair Park area, and also employing teaching artists who look like our students. Because again, as a student, when you see someone who looks like you doing what you want to do, the impact is so much greater than it is otherwise.
That's great. And how have you seen art help people navigate the stress of COVID? Or have you been personally, while doing these interviews with Black Arts Matters and things like that, how has that kind of helped you navigate with the stress of what's going on right now?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that, art does a lot of things, but one of the things it does best is bring hope to us. And that's, I think, true now more than ever. And we're seeing that now more than ever. So I constantly have to remind myself that even though we're dealing with the stress of what we're dealing with and the weight and heaviness of the current times, and even though our stages are dark and Broadway remains dark, the spirit of Broadway does not remain dark. The spirit of Broadway continues to shine bright. So as long as I continue to remember that and keep that in the back of my mind, that encourages me in the work that I do to push that narrative even further, that our stages are dark, but our spirits are not. And I truly believe that we as human beings have shown again and again and again our resiliency, especially through art. And one day we will see the tale of COVID on our stage in some type of musical, and we'll remember the power that art had during those times.
Absolutely. And just one last question for you. How can everyone on this call support you and the wonderful work that your team is doing?
That's a great question and a great segue. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly here in just a bit. But short answer is, the support you're already given to DSM is critical for the sustainability of the programs that I've talked to you about tonight. And your ongoing and continued support means so much, not just to us as an organization, but to the 30,000 individuals that we have served since November 1st of 2019. I just want everyone to take that in for a moment and realize that is the impact of your gift. That is what you are supporting. And even by the end of the fiscal year, it'll be more than 30,000. And a majority of those individuals being students and children. So there's a couple easy ways you can support us. One is to continue your support through your either center stage membership or your annual fund gift. But also, as I share my screen here with you, North Texas Giving Day is coming up, everyone's favorite day of the year. So you can support us by ensuring that on North Texas Giving Day on September 17th, you give a gift to DSM. Again, no gift is too small. I know we're all dealing with a lot right now. So anything you can give is greatly appreciated and truly does go a long way. When I tell you we can stretch a dollar, we can stretch a dollar. And if you don't believe me, please feel free to ask Ken how we have stretched many a dollar over this past year in our department. So I want to give that quick shout out for North Texas Giving Day. And then also just kind of bring us to an end here. So at DSM, our mission really is to bring the best of Broadway to Dallas. But we know that in order to bring the best of Broadway to Dallas, we have to train and support those who will one day be on our stages or working backstage or working on the producing side or working in any kind of creative career that supports our sector or outside of our sector and being a seasoned subscriber. So to close us out tonight, I want to share with you a performance of I See Stars from the hit musical Mean Girls, which will be coming to DSM next spring. That's performed by a group of our students from our High School Musical Theater Awards program. And I want to share this performance with you because, we wholeheartedly at DSM believe that all of our students are stars, no matter what role they play in the work that they do. And it's because of your support specifically that DSM is able to continue to let their light shine as bright as possible. So I thank you for that. I thank you for your ongoing continued support of our work. And I hope you enjoy this performance.
Cheap, fake, easy to break. That's how I used to be. Here, take it. Now I'm awake. I'll tell you what I see. Plastic don't shine, glitter don't shine, rhinestones don't shine the way you do. You are so real, you are so rare. I see you there. I see you. I see stars. So many stars tonight. You could make diamonds tall. You are so beautiful. I see stars. You shine as bright as day. I will look out for you. We'll guide each other's way. You're all stars. See, I went low to high. That was my problem, mine. Don't be frightened like me. The darker the night, the brighter you'll shine. Plastic don't shine, glitter don't shine, rhinestones don't shine the way you do. You are on fire, you can rise higher. Up in the sky, enjoy the view. You stars, so many stars tonight. You could make diamonds so. You are so beautiful. I see stars.
You are real.
And you are rare. I want to say, I see you there. It's me and you, not us and her. 'Cause if we knew how strong we